The first stock we're going to look at this evening is Hong Kong Electric. It's ticker number 6, trades on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And what we're looking at here is a stock that has started to form a new uptrend. If we take a look, first of all, we'll see, drawing this horizontal line, we see that this stock has recently broken out above resistance. This right here is called resistance. Resistance. And resistance occurs whenever a stock tries to get above a certain price level and has difficulty doing so. Notice that this level right here formed the first resistance, and then several months later, 3 months later, the stock tried to get above this resistance, couldn't do it. Here, 2 weeks later, the stock tried to get above resistance. It did so for only 3 days and then failed, came back below resistance, and then finally, 5 months after the first resistance level was formed, the stock moved up above that resistance level. Now, one of the most basic tenets of technical analysis is that a prior level of resistance becomes the new level of support after the resistance is broken. And that's exactly what happened here. Notice how the stock moved higher for several weeks. One day had a big down day, but now look what happened. When the stock moved lower, notice that it failed to go any lower than this prior resistance level. That's because now this prior resistance level has become what is known as support. So notice how this resistance, after the stock moved above it, became the support, and that prevented the stock from moving any lower. And each time a stock breaks out above resistance, it becomes the new support. Here's another example. When the stock moved above this level right here, notice how this was resistance, stock finally moved above it, and then the stock actually found support at this level several weeks later. So this is one thing we constantly do in our classes and with our students is we look at resistance and support levels, because when a stock pulls back to support, it offers a low risk buying opportunity. And when the stock moves into resistance, it offers an opportunity to sell the stock into strength. Now this stock is actually just starting to enter into this new uptrend. Notice that after it broke out above the horizontal resistance level that we talked about, that's when it entered into the new uptrend. And now we look at these moving averages. We've got the 20-day moving average and the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. And what you'll find happens here is each time the stock pulls back, this 20-day moving average now is acting as support. In the beginning, when it first broke out, notice how the 50-day moving average converged with the horizontal line, the support. But now, when this trend gets stronger, the 20-day moving average acts as support rather than only the 50-day moving average. So now that we've got the stock pulling back to support of this 20-day moving average, that presents the low-risk buying opportunity. But we always want to have a protective stop in case the pullback doesn't hold. And in this case, we'd want to have a protective stop below the 50-day moving average if it fell back below this prior level of support. And this is how new trends get established as well. The next stock we want to look at is ticker number 2, which is China Light Holdings. Trades on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And China Light Holdings is another example of a stock breaking out above resistance, or actually what is known as a trading range. And if we take a look here, notice how perfectly this horizontal line acted as resistance for many months. This is from October of 2010 all the way until May of 2011. So about 7 months, this horizontal line became the perfect epitome of resistance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times the stock tried to break out above resistance before it was finally able to do so. And then we also have a lower channel that acted as support during this time. And notice how the stock just oscillated in a sideways range between this lower channel support and upper channel resistance. Now for 1 week here, the stock actually fell below this lower channel support. Notice the big volume indicates the heavy selling that the stock fell into. But this is actually good, because when the stock breaks below a level of support, it washes out the what we call the weak hands. That means people that sell at the first sign of trouble. Now what that does, it makes it easier for the stock to move back up because there's less resistance, less people looking to sell into strength of the move back up. So when the stock comes back up in this range, it only takes another month and the stock is able to break out above it. Here again, notice how this prior resistance becomes support. Stock breaks out above resistance, pulls back, and now it holds this support and starts to march higher. And here again, we have the development of a new uptrend. So notice how when stocks break out of consolidations, they enter into new uptrends. And the longer the period of consolidation, typically the more substantial the breakout will be, and the stronger the trend will be. So what we like to do is we don't give specific recommendation or stock advice to our students because we're not a brokerage firm. What we do though is we teach our students how to identify these chart patterns that have the best odds of success based upon proven techniques of technical analysis that we've been using over the past 10 years. The last stock we're going to look at today is ticker number 1088. This is China Shenhua on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And this stock also is another example of a stock that has recently broken out above horizontal resistance. Here again we have resistance, resistance, resistance. Here we had a breakout attempt that failed. It went above it 3 days and came sharply back down. When breakouts fail, they often come down very sharply. But now again, notice just a few weeks later, the stock's back above this resistance. And more importantly, now it's actually breaking out above this prior level of resistance right here. This prior high that you see right here, the stock is actually closing above it. So it looks like the breakout's going to hold this time. And ideally what we'd like to see is some sideways price action for the next couple days, and then a pullback that tests this breakout, and then that pullback would provide our low risk buying opportunity that we'd want to seek out. So those are the three stocks in today's session that we found to have educational chart patterns that are entering into new uptrends and breaking out above resistance. We conduct these live daily Asian stock analysis sessions Monday through Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Hong Kong time. And to join us, all you have to do is go to dragoncharts.com and go to our curriculum page on the Learn to Trade menu. And you can simply join us for any of these webinars. And we look forward to introducing you to our software soon, our trading software for scanning the stock market. And thanks for coming this evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.